Should we do something goofy just to like rap? That'll be the intro.
Welcome back to 40 I Amped. I'm here with Kiki of Dollapartments, lead singer, indie punk extraordinaire. It's nice to be here with you, man.
Nice to be here. I'm glad.
Yeah. Tell me about what type of music Dollapartments makes.
That's a tough question. It's alternative rock is like the most broad umbrella term, but the way I describe it to people is it's like if Radiohead and Nirvana had a baby, and then that baby was raised by the Backseat Lovers and Blink-182.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For somebody who isn't a rock fan, coming in, what can I expect? What era are you paying homage to? What sound do you want? What do you want to say?
The era, 100% 90s rock, alternative rock, grunge. For somebody who has never listened to us before, catchy melodies, great riffs, some insane drums, so just some really great stuff all around. We try to blend as many genres as we can, and that's kind of what I like about my group members, my band members, is that we all have like different kind of backgrounds. Like some of us are more into like metal, and some are more into like blues and like a little bit of jazz and a little bit of pop, and so when you blend it all together, you get this like awesome mix of these songs that are really catchy and can have like a pop chorus, but can also be like very dark and almost like emo at times. So yeah.
I really gravitated to that point about the riffs,
Yeah.
about the guitar riffs. So tell me a little bit about the band and kind of how you guys make music and like the dynamic.
Yeah, it's tough. Every song is different. A lot of songs, especially on the first album. And this is kind of the difference between like the first album and the next upcoming EP, is that the first album I wrote like all the lyrics and a lot of the chords to a lot of the songs, and I was just kind of trying to tell a story throughout the length of the album. And then I have to give so much credit to my guitar player Asher. He really came in and dare I say saved a lot of the songs with some of those riffs, some of those solos. I mean, he's just an insane guitar player. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Chris Gooden, who ended up playing bass on the album. I mean, he killed it. Like some of those bass riffs are just insane. And yeah, it's a great piece of music for me to listen to. Again, I'm biased, but I love it. And the way that a song usually comes out is if something kind of inspires me, it can come in like the most random bursts ever. But when I feel inspired, usually it'll start from like a melody, and then from that melody I'll add words, and that'll usually be like a chorus, and then I'll just build verses on top of that. And so, like everybody, my best ideas come in the shower, you know? And so there's been times where I've gotten so much water on my phone because I'm like, I gotta, you know, open up the voice memos app and record this idea real quick. And then I get more water on my guitar when I come out and try and figure it out. So yeah, that's usually how I start, and then I bring it to the guys, and if they like it, which they don't always, but if they like it, we try and flesh the song out together, and then we get in the studio, and then we keep coming back to the studio until it's, you know, perfect. But yeah, that's how songs have become. And on the next EP, a lot more of the songs were written with Asher and I just sitting in his basement with two guitars. And a lot of the songs just came from like little ideas and riffs that I had and stuff. And our drummer, we actually let him have more of a say this time, because nobody ever lets the drummer do what he wants, but this time, you know, we valued his creative input. So you should always value your drummer's creative input.
Tell me about like the storytelling, like, and now that you guys are taking this more like collaborative aspect, how is it working with them? And like, is it like sometimes a song will come out of a joke, or like how does it go? Like,
songs have definitely come from jokes. I don't want to give too much away before the next EP drops, but essentially there was we'll have like little songwriting sessions nowadays, And so usually it's just me coming over to Asher's house and we just kind of fool around in the basement. And there was, and I think a lot of musicians experience this, but there was a solid 2 months that we had like been coming over I'd been coming over every couple weeks, and we just came up with like nothing usable, like genuinely nothing. And so jokingly, I picked up the guitar and I was like, I was literally just joking. I was like, and the melody went like this. It went, I've got to go to school tomorrow, 8:30 a.m., but I want to stay up and I'm missing your head. And he was like, dude, stop. That was good. And I was like, that was terrible. What are you talking about? Like, that was terrible. And we ended up fleshing it out. And that's going to be a song on the upcoming EP called 6/8. And it was, I don't know how many, if you know about time signatures in music and stuff, but so essentially all our other songs are in 4/4, and I thought this one was in 4/4 too, and then we brought it to our drummer and he's like, guys, that's in 6/8. He's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we were like, cool, 6/8 it is, and now that's the name of the song. So
yeah, just changing up, and
yeah,
I think it's important to go through some of those ebbs and flows in the creative process, right?
For
like,
sure.
how has it been since you guys have started coming till now? In terms of like the progression, how have you seen it?
It's, and I hate to toot my own horn here, but for a while there, before I even had a band, I was just like a songwriting machine. And Ed Sheeran has this really famous quote where he's like, with songwriting, it's like a water faucet that hasn't run in forever. You got to just open it and let all the disgusting brown water come out before you start getting to that, better stuff. And so the way a lot of songs worked is like every time that we would rehearse or have band practice, I'd be like, hey, here's a new song that I wrote. What do you guys think? And I think 5 times out of 10, they'd be like, that sucked. And then the other half the time, they were like, oh, dude, I actually like that a lot. Let's do it, but let's do it faster. Or let's do it, but let's do it in a different key. Or let's do it, but like I want to add in like my little flavor to it. I want to add a riff or this kind of solo, like just little stuff that kind of builds. And then I wouldn't say we have a formula in any sense of it. It was just kind of like, all right, what are we feeling? What does this song need? Little things like that.
Tell me about like literally the name and the image, like Doll Apartments. Tell me about.
I came up with it when I was 15. I'll just totally be honest, as 15-year-old me. And it was originally just a juxtaposition for doll houses, because like doll houses. What if we called it Doll Apartments? Huh? That'd be funny. And so we ended up going with it, and then in every other interview or anytime somebody asks like, why doll apartment? What does that mean? I'm like, it's a metaphor for American capitalism and how because most people can't afford house. Like everybody wants the American dream where like they come and like they can afford this like big house, like a doll house, but that's not a reality. So everybody just ends up living in doll apartments. And then the idea with the suits and the ties and stuff was originally we wanted to. Actually, it came about because our first show ever was at a quinceañera. And so we had to like dress up nice, and I kind of liked it. And then I thought that really goes well with the theme of like guys who like look like they're like a little scruffy, like they're a little bit burnt out. Like they came, you came home from work, you haven't shaved in a couple of days, you got like a loose beard, your shirt's all out and dirty. And I also just think like brand image is super important. Like there's so many people that have been like, oh, what's your band called again? Oh, you're the guys in the suits? Cool. And it's like, awesome, sweet. I love that we're known as that. But yeah, it all goes, hand in hand, the suits and the outfit as well as the band name. It's all a metaphor for American capitalism, which kind of sucks. Yep. So, yeah.
How does some of that imagery flow into the music? Like, how do you think so?
That's a good question. A lot of the music comes from a place of angst, and that's kind of where the punk sort of edge comes into it, is that, it's like almost this frustration. You can kind of hear it in the songs as far as, like they have that punk edge, And so, yeah, a lot of it is just based on like, especially in that first album, it's just kind of like, I'm upset, you know, and things aren't going the way that I want because of X, Y, Z. The reasons don't really matter, but that's where that angsty edge comes in.
Where's that? Where's it come from? Like, what motivates it? Like
The angst or the
kind of like the
frustration
angst,
or just
like
the music.
like the girls and whatnot. Like I know you guys have like the Subaru girl
yeah.
and like
Yeah.
I've some of the lyrics I heard you like talk about that. Like how does that
yeah.
how does that go into it a little bit?
So the whole thing, and this is a crazy story, but I'm in love with concept albums. I don't know if you ever listen to Pink Floyd's The Wall, or what's another good concept album? I love concept albums, is the point. And so this one was not inherently a concept album, but I had kind of like an underlying idea as the listener listened to it, and that was a boy falls in love with a girl, that's Subaru girl. It's, you know, all these emotions of like, oh man, like I've never felt better than when we were drinking in the back of her car. Like I love this girl. And then Converse is like, they're kind of talking, they're kind of like, you know, they're conversing quite literally. But he's still like a little bit nervous and shy. And then Comfort is kind of like, they're like basically starting to date. Like he was like addicted to her hair. Like he's just like infatuated with this girl. And then Intermission has nothing to do with anything. Scratch that. And then Throne is kind of like he's almost starting to. This is like the start of the breakup where he's getting a little bit upset. Like that the shit that she does makes him batshit crazy. Like he's really starting to dislike this girl, and these feelings of love and infatuation became hatred. And then you see that again, and so after Throne, they essentially break up. That's I Miss Her, I'll Wait. That's where the album also, the music takes like a slower approach and kind of like a more mellow song. And that's, you know, the title too is like, I Miss Her, I'll Wait, you know? And then Don't Think About It is like, you just had all this crap happen to you between like falling in love and then falling out and then going into hatred and then the breakup. And so Don't Think About It is like, dude, just don't think about it. Do everything you can not to think about her anymore. Like you're done with her. And then Hazel is a super sad song where he finds out that she killed herself. And then Curtain Call is about grief and about him dealing with the loss of a girl that he at first loved but then hated. And I think that's just an emotion that I wanted to explore. You know, like when somebody dies, it's like you had all these emotions that were so powerful and so strong. It's like I don't think anyone's ever written an album about that before, and I wanted to be the first one. So yeah.
How else does that exploration benefit you in terms of like just being a student of like the music that you consume? How else does that exploration benefit you?
Yeah, I get what you mean. I take a lot of themes and ideas from other artists as well. So a lot of people, and I hope I don't get sued for this, but a lot of people compare the riff in Converse to a Backseat Lovers song. And Backseat Lovers are one of my favorite bands. You know, I just think they're so great. And those are also a lot of emotions of, you know, just being in love, but it's not great love, it's just struggling love. And one of my other favorite bands, Bad Flower, they have a lot of songs about like just being addicted to a girl that broke your heart. And I don't know, I think there's something super powerful in that, and there's something that really speaks to me through those lyrics. And I think anybody who's been in a relationship ever at any honeymoon phase was at one point in time like obsessed with their partner. And if anyone's ever broken up, you know how bad that can hurt. So yeah, it's a topic I wanted to make my music about and explore. Yeah.
We're in Rockville. You grew up in Rockville?
Yeah. I grew up in Rockville, pretty much.
How has that like kind of informed who you are as an artist?
Dude, it's suburbia here. I can't lie. It's super suburban, and that's, you know, as far as artistry, it's cool to like our lead guitar player Asher, he plays a PRS guitar. Those guitars are from Maryland. Super big on Maryland. More so DC. I love DC. I love playing shows in DC. I love the DC music scene. But I also just think that for the longest time, there wasn't really a music scene in Rockville, which is crazy. It's called Rockville. It's the village of rock music, right? Like, but yeah, there just wasn't like a huge music scene. And right now, there's like a lot of really cool bands coming out, and we're just happy to be coming up with them and playing shows, you know, locally. And yeah, hopefully we'll branch out of Rockville. But Rockville, as far as songwriting, has almost given an in to suburban love, you know? Like, it's not... I don't pretend in my songs like I'm from this big city. I don't pretend like we were drinking at a bar, right? The lyrics are drinking in the back of her car. Because, like, in the suburbs, where else? You know, where do you go when you want to have a drink with a girl, right? So, yeah.
So, like, if there was a motto for, like, how the group approaches music, what would that be?
Ooh, how the group approaches music?
Yeah. Or yours.
Yeah, like a model band or
No,
just...
a motto.
A motto for how we approach music. That's a good question. Damn, you stumped me. A band. Oh, okay. Here's a good band motto. This Asher came up with. Don't catch the beer bottle your dad throws at you. Yeah, and that's just what our music's about. Is, you know, don't instigate anything ever. Just be a loser. It's cool. That's fine. Kind of like Weezer. You like Weezer?
I do like
Yeah,
Weezer.
I like Weezer too. Yeah.
Yeah. And going into that, like, where do you guys make music, and like, how does that?
Oh, dude, this is a great story. We have a practice place that is our lead guitar player's aunt's house. Has just like a garage with like a second story, and it's got like a kitchenette. It's cool. And so it's in DC, and it's so our lead guitar player, he wanted to call it the Hub, just a hub of music, no innuendos there. And then our manager was like, nah, dude, let's call it the Bat Cave. And I was like, guys, let's settle this. Let's call it the Bat Hub. But I said it over text, and then it just read out as bathtub instead of Bat Hub. So, and then both of them were like, wait, I actually like that more than, let's just call it the Bathtub. And so now we call it the Bathtub. Bathtub is our practice space. It's just a cool little spot in a garage that, you know, we can make as much noise as we want in the middle of DC. So that's usually where we make the music. And then last album we recorded at Omega Studios here in Rockville. Next album we're going a little bit out of the ways to Oblivion Studios up near Severn? I always forget how it is. Is it Severn?
Severn.
Yeah, okay, we're going up to Severn, Maryland, to Oblivion Studios. And then I have a guy that mixes and masters. His name's Chris. He's in a band called Lovesick Loner Car, shout out. And I just go over to his house. He lives in Virginia, and so I just make like the 40-minute drive to go track guitars, you know, whatever needs fixing or mixing, do some vocals, and then he sends me the tracks, and that's how the music's made.
I want to get into like the album name, the music for you're at a party and you correct me. Tell me about that.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, so we were kind of cycling album names. At first we were like, let's just do self-titled, and I was like, that's kind of boring. And then our drummer was basically I'd come up with we were cycling through album names, and I'd come up with background music. I was like, let's just call the album background music. And then our manager was like, how about like background music but like parentheses? Like, I think it'd be really cool to put something with parentheses in it. And so the original idea was like background music, parentheses, fuck you, or something, you know? And then our drummer was like, how about background music, parentheses, for a party? And I was like, how about background music for a party, parentheses, you weren't invited to? And then eventually we all just kind of had a group discussion. We were like, dude, background music, parentheses, for a party you weren't invited to. And that's kind of where the album cover comes in, is, you know, we were super influenced by Keith Haring. And so we just wanted like a Keith Haring-esque picture of like a party. And I don't know if you can kind of zoom in and you can see that on the table, spilled out in cocaine, it says Doll Apartments on the album. So that was my touch. Yeah, no, it was, it has to do with the story. The guy that falls in love with Subaru girl, he's like, I love losers, man. I love movies about losers. You know, I love Fight Club. He's, you know, it's just, this is the soundtrack to like a party that he was not invited to. And then I think at the time too, we were also playing a lot of kind of like house shows and like, you know, like indie, like DIY venues. And it was just like, dude, like this is like we're like the rock band at a party, like at a high school party. Like that's pretty cool. So background music for a party was the first name, and then just to add that like punk edge, it was like, and you're not invited. So yeah, that's how the name came about.
Yeah, you talk a lot about the Rockville scene, and I'm very happy about that. Like, how does it feel being a part of that, like, kind of grassroots, like, coming together? We're not in New York, Baltimore, or wherever, but we're...
Yeah, it's so fucking cool. Am I allowed to curse? Is that okay? It is so fucking cool. I see a lot of, I watch a lot of music documentaries because I like music. And so, you know, it's always so funny to see, like, the people that came up when, like, Leonard Cohen was coming up, and, like, or, you know... When I watched the Nirvana documentary, it's like they were just one out of like 10 other bands that were doing it in the Seattle area, and they all were friends with each other, and they went to each other's shows, and they were on bills together. It's like, to have a scene like that here, like where I live, is so cool. And like some of those guys that I've met through the scene in bands are like probably some of my best friends. Actually, on this upcoming EP, we're gonna have a featured artist from MJ, who's in a band called Co-Star, that we literally met just, you know, by going to places like the Garage and like seeing shows and like hanging out, and just immediately like they were like, hey, do you want to play a show? And we talked and we clicked and we hit it off. We love the same kind of music, and it was like, cool, man, let's do it. And so he's featured on our track Endorphins, that's going to be coming out on the next EP. And so, yeah, it's just super cool to like do all this stuff with like other people and like kind of almost like build a community. Like when I go to shows at the Garage now, it's like I know people that like, you know, we're friends. Like we all know each other, and it's awesome. I love seeing that. And so I'm going to try and do more cover songs with other bands. Just have people hopping in off stage. I just think that's so cool. And so, yeah, it's awesome to be part of the alternative music scene in Rockville, even though it is a small one.
Yeah, it's important to just build up that like that community aspect, like that you're making music, you're meeting people, you're building your network. Like,
right.
It's good.
Right. It's good that, you know, places exist, and that just we can play with each other and get on bills with each other, and that there's an audience for alternative rock music. Because, you know, it was such a thing of like the 90s and the 2000s that like it's, you know, it's kind of like a dying thing that is slowly making a comeback.
Yeah. What do you like the most about music?
About music? Just in general, like about music. Honestly, my favorite thing ever is to be on stage. Like, dude, there's nothing like the rush of adrenaline of like, holy shit, I'm about to play for like X amount of people, and like I really have to try to not mess up, and like I have to, you know, sing vocally, and I have to be in time with like my other band members. That's my favorite part about being a musician, is also just seeing the audience react to the music that I'm making. There's something that feels really, really good about that. And I love, my favorite thing to do at shows is like interact with the audience. I feel like that just makes like the whole experience. Like when you come to a Doll Apartments show, you're gonna leave being like, man, that that front man, he had energy, and he was talking to us, and he was making jokes, and he was running around. You know, I personally, I can't stand shows where people are just like, yeah, here's the next song. Yeah, this is a song I wrote, whatever, you know, go on to the next. Like, I want, it's called a show, not because I came here to listen to you just play your own music. It's a show because it's a show, it's a production. You know what I mean? And so I honestly think that's one of the things that separates the small acts from the big acts. Before the interview started, we talked about 21 Pilots. One thing that they did, and by the way, huge inspiration, 21 Pilots. One thing that they used to do at their house shows was they would just bring like a ladder from backstage, and like shows with like 40, maybe 50 people. And when the beat, you know, was like building up, he would climb up the ladder, and then when the beat dropped, he would jump and crowd surf in a crowd in like someone's basement. And I just think like, if, you know, you're coming home from a show like that, you're like, that was a great show. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I'm trying to build on and make.
Oh. If you had any advice to somebody who's like not into what you do, but like they really want to get into it, what would you say?
So like, to be a musician, practice, 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 and collaboration. It's so important. It's so hard to be in a band with people who don't want to collaborate, and they're just like, no, these are the songs that I want to play, this is the type of music I want to play, and you're all gonna have to suck it up. And it's hard sometimes, don't get me wrong, but if you're gonna be in a band and you're gonna, you know, play music, there's other people with other interests, and you're just gonna have to accept that. And sometimes we do what you want, sometimes we do what other people want, you know? It's such a simple thing, but it really is the key to having a good band dynamic. And then the other thing I'll say is, for anybody who is playing acoustic songs in their room and just writing songs on guitar in their room, that's really great. That's an amazing first step. I would say that your next step is honestly to find people that will play those songs with you. Because as much as I like acoustic songs, you know, you're not gonna start a mosh pit with an acoustic guitar. Unless you're Bob Dylan. Then you might. But probably not.
What can we like expect from Dollapartments going forward?
Yeah, so we have a planned EP coming out
July or August. It depends.
July or August, it depends. So we have that EP coming out, and then we're doing a lot of shows. We are trying to do a lot of shows. And then hopefully we're thinking of going on tour, right? Right? Guys, my manager's side-eyeing me. Woo! Just a little East Coast run. It's my ultimate dream to sleep in a hot, sweaty bus with 4 other grown men, and in like Georgia or something. I don't know. I want to go down south and I want to come back up. I want to have a great tour. Actually, I don't even care if the tour is that great. I just want a tour. It seems like it's like a road trip with the boys. Like, who wouldn't want that? So once we figure out the logistics, we'll do it.
All right. Well, it's been great sitting down with you.
Thank you so much. This was a lot of fun.
We out.